So we talked about this before. Poor data quality is bad all around. It costs your organization a lot of money, $13 million or so, according to Gartner. But even worse, bad data can lead to really, really bad decisions. According to Gartner, still 40% of business initiatives fail because of poor data quality. So frankly, I'm a little surprised that it's not more. It's either because the stat is the representation of the instances where we actually know about the failure, or we're ready to admit it. So this we're going to focus on that. The question of the week is 2023. How should you think about breaking bad data? And Adam Wilson, if you're watching, yes, I stole that tagline from you. I even have a very special guest to help us with that. He's not sitting next to me. We're going to innovate this week. We're going to do this remotely. But before we get into that, I want to point you to a few people that you should know and follow because they publish some amazing resources that are going to help all of us. The first one is Warren from Booking.com. You might not know this, but Booking.com booked 2 million room nights per day, and their users use their platforms at a tune of over 1 million queries per month. The entire data system they've built scans 2 petabytes of data. So lots and lots of data that Warren is working with and sharing his best practice, how he thinks about the architecture in his blog. If you're building data products and you want to build this data product management discipline at your organization, you are going to want to know Sondra. Sondra built her career as a product lead at great companies, CBS Interactive, UpWork, Looker, then later Google, and she just launched the Academy of Product Management with the first course on product influence that is free. So you're going to want to check that out as well. Take the first course and see how you feel. And then finally, Vikas from CNA. You should all know Vikas. He's the head of data, AI, and machine learning at CNA Insurance. He and I just participating in the IDC session with our friend Dan Vesset. We talked about the interesting situation of unified systems. 82% of organizations say they put a great importance in buying a platform that's integrated with all the capabilities they need, but 83% of them say they lack this architecture layer to unique data and technology silos. So in that conversation, we also found out an interesting stat, which is according to IDC, by 2025, in 2 years from now, 90%, at least 90% of new enterprise application releases will include embedded AI functionality, which brings me to our best guest who's very passionate about this topic, having AI to solve bad data, and that's Anthony. Let me bring Anthony here into the CarCast. Anthony, welcome to the CarCast. You're my first remote guest, and you might not know this, but to be on this, you have to wear glasses. So you have glasses with you?
One second. Always prepared. There we go.
All right. He's in his car, so this is the first remote car that we're doing, CarCast that we're doing. Anthony is the Chief Product Officer at Tamer. I have known Anthony for over 15 years, back when he was VP of Products at Click. Anthony, welcome to the CarCast. Let's talk about the Deighton Law. What is this law about, and how is it going to help us with bad data?
Totally. So I coined this idea, Deighton's Law, and it's kind of a play or continuation of an idea called Conway's Law. And Marvin Conway had this idea that the software that an organization develops reflects the structure and communication of the organization that creates it. So if you have an organization with a front-end team and a back-end team, then you create software that has a front-end and a back-end. And it's one of those things that when you know this law, you sort of see it everywhere. And what I noticed, and what I started to call Deighton's Law, slight tongue-in-cheek there, is I started to see this from a data perspective as well. So if you've organized your business, say, by product line, then your data silos are by product line. Or if you've organized geographically, so you have a North America, and a Europe, and an EMEA organization, then you will have data silos by geography. And so the way you've organized typically your go-to-market, but the way you've organized your business reflects itself in the data silos that you create. And then in contrast to that, however, and a little bit to the point you started with, a lot of the value we get out of data is when we look across these silos. So if I'm trying to optimize my supply chain, I want to look across my supplier relationships, across all of my divisions, or all of my product lines, or all of my geographies. Or if I want to look at how I can cross-sell and upsell, well, cross-sell and upsell by definition cuts across product lines, business units, et cetera, right? So it's these sort of opportunities that really get against the way we've structured our data. And again, sort of Deighton's law is this idea that the data silos reflect the organizational structure.
And so that creates obviously some complexities, but also an opportunity for a system to come and cut through all these silos and use artificial intelligence to make that faster. In fact, there was research just published in VentureBeat that pointed to the fact that as data increases, this problem is just going to become more and more complicated. 55% of organizations, I think, report in that research that they use over 1,000 sources of data. They lack a complete view of their data estate, and 52% of them actually say that they're going to increase their spend this year by favoring first control over governance of that data and process, even ahead of data culture. So that is a huge problem, obviously, but also a huge opportunity to make this Deighton law, your law, a reality. So tell us a little bit about this, because this problem of bad data is not a new thing, right? The stat I talked about earlier from Gartner, that's 2 years old. Garbage in, garbage out, that's a decade old. So what is the breakthrough here? Like, what do we need to break through all these silos and these issues?
I think it's a really important question. And so, what's different? And what's different is two really important trends. The first is data itself is moving to the cloud, and that means it sits next to highly elastic, scalable compute. And what do we do with that compute? Well, one of the things we can do with that compute is run machine learning algorithms, AI. And one of the things that I believe is true is that in order to break down these silos, we need a scalable way of cutting across these sources of data to find where these data come together. This is an extremely difficult problem. If anyone has ever tried to do sort of VLOOKUP in a spreadsheet or try to take even just two tables, and bring them together, sort of what a difficult problem it is. It's hard, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard because the more data you add to the system, it's called what we call an n-squared problem. So the more data you add, the more comparisons you need to do in order to bring the data together. Well, this is a perfect case where using machine learning, if we could train a machine to do this work, they can do it better, faster, cheaper than people. So these two ideas really come together. We now have our data on the cloud. It sits next to highly elastic compute, and we can invent machine learning algorithms to normalize that data. The term of art here, by the way, is called entity resolution. So being able to find entities within that data. Those things taken together mean that I think for the first time ever, we're in a position to solve the problem.
That's awesome. And I hope you're going to get a lot of people to follow up with you and ask you how you can help solve their company's problem. Now, we could talk for hours, but the format of the CarCast is we try to keep it within 6 to 10 minutes. I don't know what the clock said, but I know I could talk for you for hours. And of course, you're dialing in from Boston. So I appreciate you being very flexible. I want to make sure everybody knows about you. So I'm going to put a link down below to your contact information. And I hope everyone here has found this information valuable. Please make sure to give us comments or likes, anything so we can make this channel better. Thank you, Anthony. I will see you soon in person, I hope. And thanks everyone for joining us. Have a great week.